ladies and gentlemen, let's take a pause here just a minute. Here's what we found. In the court file, there's an affidavit by Lindsay Colton. And it reads in part, paragraph 2. On January 5, 2001, I was attending to the service of Robert Minton. I was on Waterson Avenue, just south of the Lisa McPherson Trust, when Mr. Minton pulled up in a car. As I approached, Mr. Minton saw me from his rearview mirror. Mr. Minton got out of the car, and as he was doing so, yelled, "Listen, you come within 10 feet of me, and you guys are going to get killed." I informed Mr. Minton that I had processed for him a subpoena for deposition. Mr. Minton ran into the building saying, and I will just stop there. Then I go over here and I look at the next paragraphs. And there's nothing else to say what she had other than in paragraph 5 it says, as I was walking away, Minton threw the papers towards me and they scattered on the ground. This is signed under oath by Lindsay Colton on the 8th, and it was notarized on the 8th day of January in the year 2001. Okay, now, I go over to the court file again, and I come across the return of service, which was filed on the 10th day of January 2001, which was under penalty of perjury, again by this Lindsay Colton, signed by her, which states under the comment section, while running away and attempting to evade service, Mr. Minton yelled at the process server, "Listen, you come within 10 feet of me and you guys are going to get killed." Then it says documents served. It says see attached A for a listing of documents served. And attached to it, attachment A to Lindsay Colton's return to service for and on Robert S. Minton Jr. And I will read what she served. 1, amended and consolidated order to show cause. 2, verified, amended, and supplemental complaint for injunctive relief. 3, plaintiff's motion for leave to amend paragraph 16C and 16E of amended and supplemental complaint. 4, verified amendment to paragraph 16C and 16E of amended and supplemental complaint filed October 12, 2000. 5, order granting plaintiff's motion for leave to add parties defendant. 6, temporary injunction number 2. 7, order to show cause. 8, motion for an order to show cause, Ray, Y. Robert Minton, John Merritt, Lisa McPherson trustee, Grady Ward, Jesse Prince, Rob Keller, Heather Bennett, and Frank Oliver should not be held in contempt. And this says page 2 of 2, but actually as attached to what was filed with the court, there's only one page. The second page is not there. Now,
first page is the return, Your Honor, I believe.
yeah, I guess that, oh, excuse me, you're right. It says page 2 of 2, so that would be the 2 of 2. And also, okay, now, I have a disparity in the record, both of them made under oath, which I'll deal with at a later time. I'm not going to bog this down now.
May I just explain the situation?
No, we're going to deal with it with Ms. Coulter here in my presence.
She's coming as a rebuttal witness.
Mr. Pope, she's an invited guest.
All right,
I
that's
will
fine.
deal with this accordingly.
There's a simple
I
explanation.
hope, for her sake.
The-
Because you know where this goes if there isn't a simple, now, I don't want to debate it.
No, I just.
Please warn her, Mr. Pope, give her the good news that she could wind up out on 49th Street. Let's get on with it, okay?
May it please the court. Mr. Minton, when we received the second temporary injunction from the court on November 30th, 2000, did you receive a copy of that injunction from me?
Yes, I did.
When and under what circumstances?
I believe you and Mr. Merritt were here. The judge signed this order sometime after 1 o'clock on the day of the 30th. You and Mr. Merritt had to do some things here. I don't know what you were doing, but you said that you would give my copy to John Merritt to bring back to the Lisa McPherson Trust for me to see.
And did that in fact happen?
It did, yes.
That same day?
It did, sometime later that afternoon.
Now, before the second temporary injunction in this matter was issued on November 30th, did you ever have a problem accepting service of any papers from any process server in connection with this matter?
No.
On or after November 30th, I emphasize on or after November 30th, the year 2000, were you aware that Mr. Merritt had, in fact, turned away process servers in this matter?
Yes, I was very much aware of that.
Now, as of January 5th, 2001, the date of this incident, was it your belief that the employees of the Church of Scientology were covered by the temporary injunction?
Employees, agents, and all that other stuff as well.
Now, by that, did you, in your own mind, include private investigators working for the Church of Scientology?
Absolutely.
Did you believe Lindsay Colton and her husband, Greg Colton, to be private investigators working for the Church of Scientology?
Yes, I did.
When you turned and moved away from Lindsay Colton that day, was it your intent to obstruct or embarrass the court in its function?
Absolutely not.
Was this the first time since the temporary injunction was issued on November 30th that you were served any papers in this matter?
I'm not certain.
During
I don't recall. I don't recall ever having been served the injunction, other than being put on notice of it by you as my attorney, who sent it to me via John Merritt.
During this entire incident on January 5th, apart from Lindsay Colton, leaving her out of it for a moment, was there a member of the Church of Scientology within 10 feet of you that day?
No.
During that incident, did you block the path of any member of the Church of Scientology?
No, I did not.
During that incident, did you harass or do violence to any member of the Church of Scientology?
No, I did not.
Now, are you familiar with the Church of Scientology's fair game policy?
Yes, I am.
Objection, Your Honor, with this, you've already excluded this information. Is there no useful purpose in this matter? That what the issue is compliance or non-compliance with the court's injunction?
Your Honor, since Mr. Minton's intent at the time is at issue, and since we are allowed to raise it as defense, as an essential element in proving a violation of the injunction under the Thompson case, which the petitioner himself has submitted to the court, I think I should be allowed to inquire what Mr. Minton's state of mind was, including any policies by the Church of Scientology that he was acting in accordance with or in opposition to.
since intent is an issue, and this is Mr. Minton's day in court, I'm going to allow you to go ahead and proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Minton, I asked you if you're familiar with the Church of Scientology's fair game policy. What is your understanding, your own understanding of that policy?
My own understanding of their fair game policy is that anyone who is in any way critical of Scientology is basically to be gotten rid of in whatever way is necessary. And one of the ways that they get rid of people is to turn them into criminals, whether they orchestrate the criminal behavior or the person is a criminal in any case. You know, it's on national television. Mike Rinder, in a program that was done about
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
I'm just asking, may I please, Court, I'm only asking you about your own understanding of fair game policy. Please proceed. Have anything further to say?
Well, my understanding comes from statements made in L. Ron Hubbard's own words that anybody who attacks the Church of Scientology is a criminal. And central to that fact is the Office of Special Affairs trying to ensure that that is what happens to anybody who attacks in a significant way that organization.
Now, does the fair game policy include setting up people to make them look bad according to your own understanding?
Objection, Your Honor. I mean, there's no need. If what he wants to establish is that he was concerned about this policy, he's done that already. He doesn't need to get into all this that you have excluded earlier.
Your Honor, I'll move on to next.
Thank you, sir.
Over the past months or years, have you been served with papers from the Church of Scientology?
Many times.
Can you tell us how or under what circumstances you've been served papers by the Church of Scientology in the past?
Almost every conceivable circumstance, having or going to Mother's Day dinner in Boston, on my birthday, a process server or PI, usually they're both with the Scientologist, came to my home in New Hampshire with a big bouquet of flowers and a big bouquet of balloons. Knocks on the front door and says, Mr. Minton, I have some flowers and balloons for you. Happy birthday. So I take them and he whips out of his back pocket a subpoena. And, almost at the airports, when I go to Boston to leave on a flight, they've served me at the gate, at the departure gate. And these are not process servers, but a member of the Church of Scientology, Gerard Grinna, who is the OSA man in Boston, serves me there brings along a state trooper, and the state trooper is told that, I'm a dangerous person, and that's why he needs to be there. They've served me when I arrived in Columbus, Ohio. They've served me at the gate. They've served me when I arrived in Tampa, Florida, at the gate. They've served me when I was leaving Tampa, Florida, at the gate. They've served me in my hotel in Tampa, Hyatt West Shore, for example. And friends of mine, for example, Mrs. Caberta. They had process servers following her all over the Bellevue Biltmore Hotel the entire time of her stay, as well as PIs. So numerous occasions, and also just normal, routine ones as well. I'm just speaking of the ones that are a little bit out of the ordinary because they're, it's necessary to monitor somebody's movement, to serve them at the gate when they're departing or at the gate when they're arriving.
Now, during these instances, have you ever had any problem, you yourself, accepting service of process, even under these circumstances?
Other than the normal emotional upheaval of, now what are these guys serving me with? That's all. Pretty straightforward.
Well, let me ask you this. Apart from the January 5th incident,
Yes. If I could just add a couple of things, I remembered some other incidents.
In response to my previous question.
Yes, in response to your previous question. I mean, there have been a number of process servers, very nice, friendly process servers who've come into the LMT. One of them was up here, and he mentioned, that he was on a first-name basis with Bob and Stacy and some of the others. He'd come to Stacy's house. Others, for example, another one who was serving me, Stacy and I were driving to her house, and we get inside the garage, and all of a sudden this guy comes zooming in the driveway when the garage door is going down, and he sticks his car right up in front of, under the garage door, so you either let it hit his car or stop it. And he got out and said he had papers to serve.
Even then you accepted the papers?
Yes.
I want to move on to the third and fourth matters which occurred together on January 6th. These were the matters involving the brief, and this is the allegation in paragraph 1D and paragraph 1F on page 2 and 3 of the January 10th order to show cause. I want to start by asking you about the brief itself. Who developed or invented it,
Randy Anderson, who is a gentleman in the blue coat and red tie, white flower sitting in the front row there next to Ms. Zazie.
When did you first see the brief, the prototype?
It was the day I arrived in Clearwater from Boston. I think it was the first, I'm not sure when it was, but it could have been this date. I'm just not certain, but
This date being January 6th?
yes, it could have been that.
Did you've seen tapes, videotapes of you walking around carrying the brief? Is this the same item that has been placed into evidence that you've seen that evidence?
Yes, it is. And on my head, I thought it was a very impressive piece of workmanship.
The three that you saw here in court as it was introduced in court, is that substantially in the same condition and appearance it was on January 6th?
Yes, I think the injunction on the end of it has become a little bit tattered by virtue of the exposure to moisture and humidity and things like that while I was outside. But yes, that is the same.
Now, what, to your understanding, is the purpose of the brief?
The SREEP is basically a tool to help enforce the injunction.
How does it do that?
Well, it makes it very clear what 10 feet is, which is a very central part of Judge Pinnock's injunction. And if someone is approaching you or you're approaching someone and you have some doubt that they're a Scientologist or not a Scientologist, it's useful to have the injunction on the end of it so that you could point out to them that there is a mutual injunction involved here that we all have to be careful of. And we can basically, move around the plane of that pole and still be 10 feet away from each other and pass.
So the purpose of the brief is, in fact, to enforce the injunction?
It is, yes.
Well, is it the purpose of the brief to mock the injunction?
Absolutely not. I think it's an extremely clever and colorful way to remind everybody that there is something that all the people moving around downtown Clearwater should be aware of. And, most of the people moving around downtown Clearwater are Scientologists.
At the time of this incident on January 6th, when you had the brief in your hand, what was your own opinion or attitude or feelings towards the second temporary injunction?
I liked it. In fact, I posted a message on the internet. It was actually dated the day after the injunction, but it was posted like 12:30 at night, so it was really the same day. That I really liked it, and although I didn't say it in it because I subsequently talked to Stacy Brooks about it, I told her, I said, thing permanently, as far as I'm concerned. And Ms. Brooks said, well, I'm not sure that the LMT feels that way, but
I'm going to,
Hold on, Ms. Howard, just a minute. She's switching stuff there. You ready? Good. Thank you.
Your Honor, may I step outside a moment?
Go ahead. Yes, you may, sir.
May I please
Go ahead,
report?
sure. Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
If I may approach the witness, Your Honor. Mr. Minton, you mentioned posting a statement on the internet concerning your own attitude or opinion of the second temporary injunction. I have shown you an item. Can you describe for the record what that item is?
this is a copy of an internet posting I made to the news group All Religion Scientology on Friday, the 1st of December at 00:36 hours.
Is this the same posting that you're referring to in your testimony?
It is.
And does that include, or attached to it, was there included the text of the second temporary injunction?
Yes, I included the text of temporary injunction number 2. I had scanned it in and neatened it up and everything and put it in. Also you're not allowed on this particular news group, All Religion Scientology, to post binary messages to it, which would have been the maps that were attached to the injunction. And so those binary maps were posted to Alt Binary Scientology, which is just a binaries group that people can go and actually retrieve JPEG scans, for example. I believe they were done in JPEG format, a JPEG map, so that they could print it out in color if they wanted to, of exactly what all the maps were that were attached to the injunction.
Now, what's binary?
It's not a text file. It will include what happens when you construct a JPEG picture or a GIF. These are the two common types of things that are transmitted over the internet because they're smaller in size than, say, a big Photoshop file. Most of the news readers that people use to observe the internet, these news readers actually translate the binary bits of information, zeros and ones basically, into a picture and convert it automatically into a picture when you receive it. It's not like the same principle would happen in email. When somebody sends you an email that includes a picture, they normally send the picture as an attachment. And the attachment is automatically converted from binary bits of information into the actual picture itself.
Okay, I understand. I see where we're going.
But the news group All Religion Scientology is for people who post text messages. Binary files tend to be bigger, and it kind of messes up the news group to have those. So there's a separate news group for any binary attachments that you want to include.
Okay.
Mr. Minton, does this posting on the internet that you have before you accurately reflect your opinion towards the second temporary injunction, both on December 1st and on January 6th, 2001?
Yes, I would say that as of January 6, 2001 and today, I have slightly different feelings about the injunction, but they're still basically completely in line with this.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to move this item into evidence. It's not previously been marked for identification.
You've given copies to Mr. Pope, Mr. Merrick?
I have, Your Honor. I have.
Okay, objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Please hand them up here. This would be Mr. Minton's exhibit. I'm not sure number 4 or 5. I'll call it 5.
Your Honor, I don't know if you have more than one.
Well, let's call it 2. sir.
Yes, sir.
And this is in evidence, your number 2. And I'm going to show it because, well, let the record reflect that this one exhibit, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, and I'm just putting here 5 pages -1 document. All right, please proceed.
Okay, Mr. Minton, I'm going to show you what has been marked as an exhibit, but I think the tag is too far away from it. Is this in fact the 3 that you were carrying that day?
Yes, it is.
From what you can see of it, does it resemble the way it looked the day you were carrying it on January 6th?
It does.
On January 6th, were there any other writings or markings of any kind other than the injunction affixed to the 3?
No.
That's fine, put it down there. So
Take it.
Specifically, were there any writings or words or devices on the 3 on January 6th which were meant to protest against or mock members of the Church of Scientology?
No, there weren't.
Now, the afternoon of January 6th, you're shown on the videotape crossing the driveway of the Coachman Building parking lot between 2 designated orange zones on the maps attached to the injunction on your way back to the Leasing and Pearson Trust Building. Could you see Mr. Avila at that time?
Yes, I did.
And what was he doing?
Basically filming us, walking our way and filming.
In doing this filming, did Mr. Avila get close to you at any time?
A couple of times he was getting, close to 10 feet. I don't think he ever got closer than 10 feet, but, he was moving in that direction.
As you approached the driveway of the Coachman parking lot, how close was Mr. Avila to you?
12 feet, maybe.
What did you do in response to Mr. Avila's presence at that time?
I reminded him to keep his distance of 10 feet.
Now, excuse me, just again, what's this date of this?